On the other hand, Albert Woodfox remained in prison now, 42 years and counting, nearly 40. April 17 will be 42 years that he remained in prison in solitary confinement, having his case overturned 3 times, twice by a federal judge. Even now, Albert's case has been overturned. He remained in prison because the state attorney general, Buddy Caldwell, who is the state's attorney general, in the name of the people of Louisiana, he decided that millions of dollars, state dollars, taxpayers' dollars have been wasted on this case. All of the evidence in this case has been undermined, but Albert yet remained in prison until this day. However, we have hopes that Albert will get out, and it won't be a case like Herman. Albert is, right now he's well, and he don't have any sickness that has been diagnosed, to cause his death. And so we are looking for Albert to get out because the court will make a decision, I'm sure, pretty soon. There was a hearing about 6 or so days ago, and they usually take 90 days for them to render a hearing. And Albert most likely will be out once this happens. So we are waiting for this. So when I say it was kind of hard for me to tell my story without telling that of Herman and Albert, because we are linked together. We were linked together by the state, and we were charged in crimes in which the state know we had not committed. By the way, if some of you may believe or not knowing all of the facts about Albert's case and Herman's case, I told you it was a bloody scene. There were handprints, fingerprints all over the wall. I mean, latent prints, prints that you could see, that you could detect and could determine. They have the prints of everybody in prison, but they only took the prints of the people who were charged. And guess what? It did not match any one of the individuals whom they charged and subsequently convicted for this crime, including that of Albert. Albert has taken a lie detector test. Now, I know by law, this is not permitted. A lie detector test, you don't submit this in the evidence. That is in theory. In practice, if the district attorney revealed to a jury that this individual has taken a lie detector test and it showed that he lied, he's going to make it known to a jury, and a jury is going to use that. Nevertheless, in theory, they say they're not supposed to use it. Conversely, in Albert's case, this did not happen. This did all of that was he taken a lie detector test. He passed it with colors. None of the prints matched him. He passed that with colors, but nevertheless, he remained in prison. They wanted to convict somebody for this crime, and members of the Black Panther Party was the obvious factors, malfactors, if you want to call it that, and I use that in quotation, and they were the likely suspect, and if they weren't involved with it, they knew it. But all the evidence has been undermined in the case, and nevertheless, Albert remained in prison in solitary confinement. And perhaps Herman, had his case not was heard before he transists, he probably would still be in prison. That if he hadn't transisted or had not been diagnosed, he would still be in prison now, because the state would have found reason to keep him in prison despite the fact that all of the evidence has been undermined in the case. He can't be brought back to trial. And even Albert cannot be brought back to trial. Nevertheless, Albert remained in prison, and Herman would have been in prison too. But the point is this, that the evidence against each of us was manufactured. The fact that I, became a member of the Black Panther Party, I think I feel validated in doing so. I would like to think, and I know I would not change any of my approach to this. I felt that it was a righteous thing to become a member of the Black Panther Party and the struggle for change. And while we were in prison, we did a lot of things to make changes in prison. We were held in solitary in cells. Nevertheless, we managed to get books. We managed to write our own in the bars. And we went on a hunger strike, and Albert said it was like 40-some days. You might have felt like 40-some days to him. I mean, when you're hungry, 10 days is something. There was another practice that they had that was a carryover from slavery, that Albert had, said it was slavery. Everywhere you went, you was in your cell 23 hours a day, sometimes 24. If you happen to get be on call out, or if you happen to have a lawyer and your appeal lawyer wanted to see you, they would come to your cell and make you, even though you're in your cell walking around just leisurely, they would make you strip whatever clothes you have on, and they would subject you to a dehumanizing strip and anal search, which had no penological purpose whatever. And being politically aware, at one time I didn't think nothing of this. It was routine. It was a routine rectal search, and we thought that it was good. But then becoming politically aware, we said, hold up, wait a minute. They did the same thing to slaves. In other words, during Chattel, when they wanted to make sure that this human being was healthy, they would do like they did a horse, open its mouth, force the mouth open, look in it to see if the teeth were good, and then see if they had any, excuse the expression, but hemorrhoids. They wanted to make sure that they were healthy slaves. And it was a practice that, by the way, Angloa State Prison takes its name from the country Angola. And the reason why it takes its name from the country Angola, it was because the majority of the slaves who were housed on that plantation, it is said that they came from that region, Angola, Africa. And so the name stuck. Of course, now, it's a town now. It's called Angola, Louisiana. But it was a prison. They changed it it was Louisiana State Prison at Angola. But all of these people were formal, if not, they were successors of, their predecessors were slave masters. They worked at the plantation, so all of the mannerism, and I explained, in some writing that I did, when I went to prison, all of the mannerism, everything that I witnessed about Angola without even knowing anything about slavery, it was antiquated. When I first went to prison, there was the mannerism. You were called, hey, old thing, you're here to work, and if you're going to work, you're going to do this kind of work, and if you don't do it, we got a place for you. If you try to escape, we will kill you. No politics is allowed in this place, and you were considered old thing. You had to call. And when I say had to do it, some did not do it, but the routine was you call. Everybody was a captain. Everybody was a sir. Everybody was a mister. You could not even put mister on your name if you written a letter out. And so, these are things that I did not know, but you learn these things by rote, and you struggle against these things. And this is what we begin to see, and this is how we are able to kind of see prison and slavery as being somewhat of the same thing. And even now, many people think, again, when I started out saying that the 13th Amendment did not abolish slavery. It was taken from the plantation and it was placed on a prison plan. Slavery has not been abolished. Slavery, it lingers. It goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. And prisons are so similar to slavery because in prison, that's what you have. You have slave labor, and you have people whom you can treat like a slave. They have no rights. The law was that a slave had no right that the slave master was bound to respect. If you are in prison, a prison official has, you have no right that they're bound to respect. You got to respect them. And this is why it is so incumbent upon, I believe, people, in society to take note. And this has been happening over the years. During my 13 years, nearly 13 years out or so, I've traveled to many different places speaking about this case and other cases. I believe this is the only way And we are making some headway because now many people, at one time, it was unheard of people talking about solitary confinement or lengthy sentences, having legislative hearing regarding solitary confinement and regarding prison. People are getting on board, and I think people now have begun to understand and see and to equate prison with slavery, things that the Black Panther Party said a long, long time ago, and even before the Black Panther Party said it, there were other people. Malcolm X said it, Elijah Muhammad. We could go on back to Frederick Douglass, Walker. I mean, even during Chattel when it was, even then. But these, the connection is there. Slavery is alive and is well, and it is in a form of prison. And I think the prison, the administration, that is the system today, where systemic racism has never left us, and prison is and slavery have to be seen as synonymous with each other. I think this is one of the only way that we can kind of eliminate slavery, by this form of slavery, by shedding some light on it, keep it in the public eye. I think people have a right to determine their own destiny, and not politicians. Politicians are the ones that set the standard and the stage for prison. They have legislative prerogative that outlines and guidelines are the guidelines for prison. The legislators are not even though they may be of a Democratic party, they are not part of a democratic process. They are more a part of a democratic demon more. And I think we have to make that connection. We have to see it that way. And I know that, we have to have some time for some question and answer. I know some of you have some questions about any question. It doesn't matter how I'm out, if you're unclear as to condition as to why I am out, if you need to know what is it, where we stand at today with Herman and Albert, the people that we've come in contact with, the people whom we have on board, just feel free to ask me the question. I think it would be much better to involve you in this. And if there's anything that I've missed, if anything I fell short on, you feel you want to ask me any question about this case, about anything I said, feel free to do so. But I think I should get some time to have Issa to come up and say some things, or to come up and we can go into the session of question and answer, if it's okay.